Imagine you're at an international airport. Your flight is ready, your passport is ready, everything is in place. You reach immigration and instead of moving forward, you're asked to step aside. You're taken to a separate room. Questions start coming. Why are you traveling? How long will you stay? When will you return? What do you do for work? Right next to you, someone of the same age on the same flight holding a Japanese or British passport walks straight through. No questions, no pause. This is not a rare story. For many Indian travelers, this is routine, and this is not just about travel inconvenience. This affects how Indians do business, study abroad, take up global jobs, and participate in the world economy. India hosts the G20. India sends missions to the moon. India talks about becoming a global power. But when an Indian plans an international trip, the first question is still very basic. Will I get the visa? That gap between national ambition and individual mobility is the real issue. A passport is not just a travel document. It represents how much trust the world places in a country's systems and its people. This is measured through the Henley Passport Index, which uses airline and border control data. The logic is simple. If you can enter a country without applying for a visa in advance, your passport gains strength. If you need prior approval, it does not. The more countries you can enter easily, the stronger your passport is considered. As of the latest Henley Passport Index, India is ranked 80th in the world. Indian passport holders can access around 55 to 60 countries without a prior visa, either visa-free or visa on arrival. To put that in perspective, Singapore sits at the top with access to more than 190 countries. Japan and South Korea are close behind. Within the BRICS group, India's passport ranks the lowest. Brazil, Russia, China, and South Africa all rank higher. What matters even more is movement over time. In the last decade, India's ranking has barely improved. Despite economic growth and global visibility, passport mobility has not kept pace. Another important point is which countries are accessible. Most visa-free destinations for Indians are neighboring countries or tourism-driven economies like Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Maldives, Thailand, and Indonesia. For major economies such as the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, and the European Union and China, Indians still require visas. India also does not have visa-free access to the Schengen zone, which covers most of Europe. One agreement there would unlock access to multiple countries, but that access does not exist. This lack of mobility shows up in everyday life. In India, there are temples, literally, where people go specifically to pray for visa approvals. This is not symbolism. It exists because for many families, a visa decision can decide education, career paths, or financial futures. When international movement becomes uncertain enough that people attach hope and prayer to it, it shows how constrained mobility really is. This is not about belief, it is about anxiety created by restriction. So why does this happen? Because passport strength is built on perceived risk. Countries look at patterns of overstays, misuse of tourist visas, asylum claims, document fraud, and income gaps. Even if most travelers follow the rules, repeated patterns affect how an entire passport is treated. Indian travelers face higher scrutiny and higher rejection rates in several regions, especially Europe. As a result, more documentation is demanded, more questions are asked, and more uncertainty is built into the process. This directly impacts business. Indian startups and exporters often face visa delays just to attend meetings or explore markets. Immigration barriers are regularly listed among the top obstacles for Indian businesses expanding abroad. Legal costs, paperwork, and uncertainty slow growth. It also affects jobs and education. Work visas have become more expensive and restrictive. Temporary work options require sponsorship, and lengthy processes which makes it harder for freelancers and short-term professionals to take global opportunities. Student mobility is affected as well. Visa slot limitations and changing policies influence where Indian students apply and whether they can go at all. Even industries linked to travel feel the effect. Travel insurance, foreign exchange, cross-border payments, and international fintech services grow when people move. Restricted mobility slows these sectors down. Visa costs themselves have gone up. For many Indians, international travel is no longer just expensive, but uncertain and unequal. This situation is not permanent. Other countries have improved their passport strength deliberately. They signed visa waiver agreements, strengthened document security, reduced fraud, and made mobility part of diplomacy and trade. The UAE is a clear example. Its passport ranking rose sharply after it aggressively signed visa waiver agreements across regions. India has taken some steps, e-passports, better verification, limited agreements. But mobility has not yet become a central diplomatic priority. A passport decides how easily a citizen can respond to opportunity. A weak passport slows movement. A strong one removes friction. India's economy is growing, its global presence is expanding, its citizens are ambitious and mobile, but until international movement becomes easier, that growth remains constrained at the individual level. The question is not whether India will rise globally, question is whether Indian citizens will gain the freedom to move with the same confidence as the country's ambitions.